So I'm Robyn Perkins. I'm the bander in charge at the Lesser Slave Lake Bird Observatory. I am from Slave Lake and I'm working in Slave Lake. So typically it depends what program we're running, but most of our time is spent on the migration monitoring programs. So we have one program in the spring and one in the fall. And we get to the site about half an hour before sunrise. Sometimes that's as early as 4:10 in the morning. Sometimes that's as late as 7 in the morning. So really follows the sun there. And we get on site, we listen for birds, see who's in the area. We run mist nets. So the giant nets set up throughout the forest, and we'll go and we'll open those up. In our migration program, we've got 14 of those that we run. And then we come in, do some paperwork, go back out, check the nets. And the rest of the day is spent checking the nets, getting birds out of the nets, bringing them back to the lab, banding them up. Okay, so this is the workstation for banding. Most of what we do is actually outside along the shore, out in the wider area. But when we're banding, what we're gonna do is we bring the birds back into the lab. We've got all of these hooks. I mentioned there's 12 nets, there's 13 hooks. We have an overflow hook, but the rest of them are numbered by the net we get them from. That's important data for how birds are using the habitat to migrate as they go south. So we work very closely with forestry through a number of different projects, and that can help assess their biodiversity monitoring. Going back to the conservation thing, when we're monitoring all of these populations, some species are specifically targeted by forestry activities. So through monitoring those populations in this way, we can start to say things about how forestry is doing for the birds. If those populations are going up because of forestry practices or going down, because these birds are all using different habitat types. As well, the forestry industries locally will use our data to estimate when birds are breeding and when they're on the move. So knowing that information, they can start to make really sustainable choices on what time of the year it's safest for them to do the active logging without hurting these birds and violating the Migratory Birds Convention Act, which is another thing. So for final words of encouragement, it's really important if you want to get into the wildlife research sector, you have to volunteer. You have to make yourself a very competitive candidate because everybody wants to get into the wildlife conservation sector. So for birds, go to birding walks, run your own birding walk, get involved in the wildlife clubs. And if you want to do banding specifically, you need to find a bird observatory close to you and make sure that you're getting out there and helping them out when those opportunities are available.